Let's get to the meat of the matter, shall we? Darby Allin and Cody against Starks and Hobbs. Sounds like a detective buddy film, Starks and Hobbs. Good old Powerhouse Hobbs and Ricky Starks. I noticed at least when Darby Allin skateboards in from the parking lot, he gets there quicker than Moxley because he's on the skateboard. I wish just once they'd it's getting cold weather now. Can't you let him dress in a dressing room, guys, with the rest of the boys? This started off rough because they jump-started it. Okay, this is a match they've built up. We've been waiting. Team Taz against Cody and Darby, and there's been this several-week build. They jumpstart, go into a four-way, and 30 seconds elapse, and they pitch to the break. But JR pitched to the break. They didn't go to the break. Then Excrement started calling the match again, and then they went to the break in the middle of his sentence. But why a big match like this, and they get started, and 30 seconds in, you leave them for 3 minutes? What the... Anyway.
I agree.
This match, Cody and Starks are great, as we know. Darby Allin is unique. Hobbs is green, but he's got potential. And all the other three guys worked around Hobbs's limitation and made Hobbs a powerhouse, no pun intended. He killed Darby Allin. Bill Watts would have loved Powerhouse Hobbs. But they kept his shit basic. It had more life when Starks was in because he's more accomplished, but they did with Hobbs what they needed to do. He's got a great bear hug where he was shaking Darby around. Darby actually got the hot tag to Cody, a nice hot tag instead of an iceberg cold tag. He flipped over both the guys. One guy picked him up and he managed to land on his feet, and the other guy grabbed him and he landed on his feet. Boom. Cody made a nice comeback. And then they did the teamwork thing with one caveat. Cody runs up the turnbuckles and comes off with a cutter onto Starks off the ropes, but Darby had tagged Cody, actually tagged his ankle. So technically, I see what they were going for, and goddamn it, they should have been able to slap hands, and then it would have been perfect. But it was a nice thing, and if nobody gives a shit anymore, which apparently they don't about tags, then Darby's legal, so he hits the coffin drop 1, 2, 3. So that was kind of snazzy. But then, of course, since this is AEW, there's got to be heat after in every match, which means that's why it means nothing every time they do it. The heels get back on him. Here comes Arn. Now they're really going to build this. They're pulling out all the stops. They're dropping the cow. Arn comes in, gets on Hobbs, nails Starks. He takes a bump, but they glom Arn. He didn't take any bumps, as he shouldn't be. Here comes Dustin. He makes a big save. Then Cage comes out and stops him. And they start getting some awkward heat because now there's green heels on top, and they haven't done these angles, but they get a little awkward heat. Blackout. Winter scenes on the big screen. Spooky music. Here comes Sting. And the announcers come in their pants. Sting comes out in the crow makeup, but black baseball bat, trench coat, just like 1999. You would have almost thought that somebody in a high decision-making position in this company was a complete, wide-eyed, utter mark for late 90s WCW television. You would almost think that.
Well, be careful. We don't want you to get the attorney to call again about you making comments about things.
No, I'm not talking about the other guy that he wanted to hire and he couldn't get him. I'm talking about... We discussed this when they had the news that Sting's deal with the WWE had run out. Is he going to AEW? And we went over this. Why? Why would you want... What? To do what? He had... If the WWE was going to market Sting merchandise, they have the worldwide ability to do that. What we didn't count on was the insane ability of a mark to spend money. And I'm not knocking Sting here. I like Stinger. We've talked fondly of Stinger in the past. Between him and Warrior, he was the one that was actually a student and learned how to do this stuff. But they announced, first of all, the entire heel crew ran from one 61-year-old man with a baseball bat. Taz and Cage and Starks and Hobbs just disappeared. And Sting comes in and stares down each one of the baby faces and walks out. Tony Khan immediately announced they have signed Sting to a full-time, multi-year contract. To do what? And this is not even we're not doing a bit here, and I'm not being facetious here. To do what? I sat and watched over 10 years ago. Sting wanted to quit and retire, and Dixie Carter kept giving him $500,000 a year. Just come to Orlando once, twice a month and do TV. But he was in amazing shape and could still go and was still having matches. That's been over a decade. I talked to Sting himself, I think it was 4 years ago. When did he have the matches in the WWE? When they inducted him in the Hall of Fame and he had the matches. Was it 16?
I don't remember. It was a few years back.
Whenever I talked to him, Sting, when I saw him at a show, he told me the story about the Rollins buckle bomb. He said he hit his neck, snapped back. He couldn't feel his fucking legs. He went rubber. He said, this is it. And that buckle bomb's a stupid move anyway. It's a stupid bump. You can't see where you're going. Guys can't control you properly. It's fucking idiocy. I was just talking to Bobby Fulton, as a matter of fact, about that the other day, how that's a stupid bump that none of the veterans would have taken, except in the modern era. Sting was trying to go along, and I'm not saying that Seth was even reckless. I'm just saying it's a stupid move. But he's got a bad neck, and the WWE wouldn't clear him to wrestle. Now, even if he's in great shape and cardio and all that stuff, Sting always took care of himself. Does he need to be wrestling? And at 61 years old, in this environment, is one that the Rock and Roll Express, yes, they had a feel-good moment and won the NWA World Tag Team title on a YouTube show. And they could outwork most of the guys on the roster. But at this point, they're doing a national television show. They're trying to push new stars and build new talent. And they've got the dregs of the indie mud shows. And now, because Tony Khan was a mark for 90s WCW, I'm not being facetious. What is Sting going to be an announcer? He's never done it before. It's not his gimmick. I've known him for 20-something years. I don't think he'd be good at it. A manager? Well, Tully and Arn and Jake have had so much to do in their complicated roles. And Sting has never been noted as a promo for anybody other than himself. Commissioner, the guy to lay the law down, sign matches. That's not his gimmick. Sting, the Crow, whatever the fuck, can you see him coming out? Okay, Cody Rhodes, you're going to face Brian Cage, whatever. Trainer? You're going to be a trainer for their wrestling developmental program? There's a line there somewhere. Sting doesn't need money. He saved his money. And a lot of people have given him a lot of money since he saved it to be Sting. What is he going to do here? Even if can, a full-time multi-year deal. They only run one day a week to begin with. But do you want to see Sting wrestle more than once or twice a year? And if that, maybe in tags, how can they protect him? Is this a road they ought to be going down? Because haven't the WWE pretty much gotten everything out of Sting that was left to get as far as a mainstream attraction in the wrestling ring in this day and age, in his 60s? I know why Sting's doing it, because a Mark gave him a bunch of fucking money. But what is he going to be doing? Can you see Sting in any of those positions that I just mentioned?
I could see Sting selling a good amount of merchandise, and I could see Sting potentially doing a cinematic match or two. I don't think he could work. I mean, he has spinal stenosis. He got injured in that match with Seth Rollins. He's 61 years old. I don't know what he could do physically. I don't know. There's not too much I can add onto what you just said about what he could potentially do or not do. It was announced that he signed a multi-year agreement. Once again, Tony Khan's name all over the show. It's getting ridiculous. And Sting's there. I mean, my big issue is actually, and I'm probably all alone on this, but was the way he was used here. 4 baby faces.
He didn't do anything.
4 baby faces are getting beaten up by 4 heels. And then suddenly this pre-prepared video package and fake snow comes down for Sting to walk out already wearing an AEW t-shirt, a AEW Sting shirt. for him to get in the ring and look at the baby faces and leave. Now,
and meanwhile, all those badass heels just disappear like roaches when you turn the lights on.
It would have been one thing if the heels had incapacitated a couple guys and 4 of them were beating down Cody Rhodes or Darby, and Sting makes the save. He literally came out to an even fight to walk around and look at everyone. And
he came out to an even fight with a baseball bat.
And did nothing.
And did nothing, and all the heels, including Powerhouse Hobbs, ran so quickly you couldn't even see him get out of there.
And like you said, there was a post-match deal with the Jericho match. There was a pull-apart post-match for the Britt Baker match. And then there was this for the Cody match. It's every match on the show has some sort of thing at the end, and then they do it again in the next match. There's some value to Sting. I don't know what it is exactly in 2021. Merchandise is obviously one of those things. He was wearing an AEW t-shirt as soon as he came out. They were ready to roll with those shirts. As soon as he came out, shirts are on sale.
But can they sell enough shirts to make the money that Tony Khan obviously had to pay him for him to come back and do that? And I don't know if I'm talking out of school here, but I'll tell you right flat, 3 different personal appearance people at different fan fests and or, events of that nature have told me that if they paid Sting to come and sign autographs, he would be glad to do it. But if they wanted him to paint his face, it was $5,000 more to paint his face.
Not on national TV at a convention.
Yes. This is not a person who needs money badly, because I saw him get it several times. And I'm sure it was a number of times he got it that I wasn't around. So I don't know if you can sell enough T-shirts to make up for the money that it took to get him to come and give up any relationship with the WWE in terms of merchandise and or Legends appearances or whatever to come and play in this fucking kid's pool.
Oh, it's certainly going to be more valuable than his WWE deal. I have no question about that. And they weren't even using him or doing anything with him. They had merchandise. They were just, here's merchandise. It's not like they put him on TV to hawk it or anything. He'll instantly do better with AEW in terms of merchandise. But,
and they're going to be paying him a lot more money to do that.
And they'll be paying him a lot more. And, good for him. At 61 years old, selling real estate.
That's why I said I'm not going to blister Sting. But it just, God damn it. And meanwhile, Alexander Hammerstone, Jacob Fatu, Austin Theory, all those people are floating around in the wrestling world.
Well, because they're younger, and to be a younger wrestler and get hired by AEW, you have to be in the right cliques.
And under a certain height and weight. You have to be at less than this height and less than this weight to ride this ride.
If you are a wrestler from California and you're not a part of the right Southern California clique, you're not getting hired. Period.